Hi, and welcome to A Walk to Remember. My name is Dwayne Baker-Henderson, and as always, I'll be your host as we explore some of the truths and the myths of postpartum depression, as well as how to make your journey or someone else's journey through postpartum depression just a little bit more palatable. Now, in the last episode, we talked about building a postpartum support network, the value that's in that for you, how to go about doing it, and things to consider when you are going through that process. At the end of that video, I talked about having this video be about 3 things that you can actually influence in your life. But since I recorded that video, I've had a very enlightening conversation with a friend of ours who was also very much instrumental in my wife's postpartum support network back in 2008 after the birth of our daughter. Now, that conversation was about her own current situation with her husband, who has recently had a stroke, and how she has found herself in the caregiver role and is starting to feel like she's losing herself in that experience. That it is so all-encompassing, taking care of her husband and making sure he's safe and that he's healthy, that she's starting to feel lost. And that can very much happen if you are supporting somebody who is going through some kind of traumatic experience. That's what I felt when my wife was going through postpartum depression. And there's a number of things that I stopped doing that I really, really needed to continue doing in order to have that feeling that I was maintaining who I was. And so part of that had to do with building my support network and then leveraging that network as well so that I could do some of the things that have traditionally been really important to me. So if you haven't seen the previous video on building your postpartum support network, I encourage you to go do that because it will come into play in this episode. This is more focused towards the caregivers, but would have value for anybody who is part of the postpartum depression journey that somebody is going through. So if you want to pause this video, go watch the previous one. I'll put a link in the description down below. But let's get on with what I did and what I think would be value for anyone who is in that caregiver role and is feeling lost. One of the things that I had to do was figure out at that point when I realized that I was starting to feel not trapped but lost in that experience as a caregiver. I had to figure out what it is that I had stopped doing, because that's really what made me feel that way. Is I'd stopped doing certain things, and some of the things that I had been doing I couldn't continue doing in the current experience for logistical reasons. But one of the biggest things that I had stopped doing was laughing. Everything had become very serious, and that's really unusual for me. I find life hilarious. I laugh at things all the time. I laugh at myself more than anything else, but I laugh at life constantly. And that was something that I really had stopped doing. So I had to allow myself to laugh and find ways to make myself laugh or to release the laughs that I had been suppressing. Part of what I did is I watched old reruns from some really funny television programs that had always caused me to laugh. I also really looked for the funny things that were around me. So for me, that was one of the most important things, is just being able to allow myself to laugh. I also needed to book some time just to do things for me. When you're the primary caregiver, quite often your focus goes towards the person that you're taking care of, and you kind of forget about your own stuff. And so I needed to book some time with me out of the house so that I could get away from the situation at home a little bit and decompress and unwind and just kind of feel a little bit more free to be the way that I had normally been. And so my support network very much played a role in that, because they allowed me the time to be able to remove myself from the home for a couple of hours a week. It wasn't a lot, but it was what I really needed. So I had some people who would come over and take care of the kids and help out around the house with Corey when she needed some help and I needed to get out of the house. And the things that I did were not huge things. I spent a lot of time with my mentors. I mentioned in the previous video that I have some fantastic mentors. I went for lots of walks, which is where the title of this series comes from. I also did lots and lots of reading. I've always really wanted to grow and learn and become more and find out who I am more. And so I did read a lot of personal development books and leadership books and books that really stretched my mind. And that was really important to me too. Continual learning has really played a big role in my being able to help my wife and myself through that experience, and doing it with grace and without panic or a lot of anxiety. So continually learning was really important. And whatever it is for you that really identifies you to yourself. For me, laughing and growing were the two biggest things. And my support network really helped in allowing me to do those things. So I encourage you to look to your support network for that. And that's why I refer you back to the previous episode. That's really all I wanted to talk about today is allow yourself as the caregiver to hold on to who you are while you give care to your loved ones. I'm going to develop a tool, just like I did for the previous episode on building your network. I'm going to develop a tool on helping out in this area. At the time of recording, this has been a very last-minute decision to change the topic. So I don't have it ready yet, but I'll put a note here in the description when it is ready, and you'll be able to get that on my website at DwayneBaker-Henderson.com. If you did enjoy this episode, please leave a like. Love your comments, so please put some comments below. Subscribe to the channel if you want to receive the updates of the next videos. And share this with people who you think might find value in it. Other than that, have a great day, be well, and we'll see you in the next episode.